What's up, YouTube? And thank you for joining me, Kim Allen, for another animation breakdown. Today, we're going to be looking at a movie that's got a long story in its development, and I'm actually really so excited to see this finally coming out, but it's coming out under a name which it hasn't been out under before. But welcome to breaking down a look at The Mitchells versus The Machine. Alright, so yes, maybe somewhat overdramatic, but it's been a long time coming. This has been one movie which, for many number of reasons, has been delayed and put back and stepped back and changed hands for who's distributing it. So it's great to see that it's finally coming out. There is a lot in it. Definitely check out the link below if you haven't seen it. It is one of those movies which I think, I've got a personal, affinity for some sort of left field movies which kind of, are really well constructed, come up with a really cool, different story and break things down. So I'm really excited to see this one as it comes out. But there's this opening sequence within this trailer, which I think is really, really great. So I'm just going to break down a few shots out of this first thing with framing and storytelling and the way that they've kind of twisted you to really bring you in. So let's get into it. So we start off in the shots quite simply with things. Again, I like diagonals, lots of things go on diagonals, and of course this guy's drawn himself up into being focused as he drops down towards the earth. Really, boom, and we get this nice off-balance sort of shot, leading lines, leading you everywhere, directing you basically into where he's landed, which is what leading lines should do. They actually lead into a spot that's been broken via the main character. And it's really epic and it's really grand, and he's white against all these other colors in here, reds and even fire burning in the background around him. So, from a brilliant start, you've actually given him something to go into. I really love that he drives the camera. He moves across and the camera's coming up. So that's really good, actually having a motivated camera move up and across as this character moves off in that direction. The camera decides to follow him. Beautiful. Now, I dig this shot. This shot is really nice for a couple of reasons that really gets me excited. First thing is, it's not a typical frame inside a frame, but we've definitely got the car window here that's given us some edgings and brought us off the edge. So it's given us some foreground elements to break up our clean shot, which I thought's really nice. We've also got a real hot spot here, which I really like. A hot spot of this laser. They've really got this bright hot spot here, which has given us, a lot of pinging and a lot of bright light that's burnt around the edges of our frame, which is inside the frame. So, not to forget the DOF either, or the depth of field, because, the depth of field for all this stuff at the front is all blurred. The depth of field for everything in the background is all blurred. And another thing which they've really done back here is this big black thing. You don't think much of it because you've got this big black thing here, so it's balanced and offset by the same color, but it's dark color, light-ish, and it does draw your attention back to it, and it's framed it a bit. But it's nice that it's back there, but it's definitely not what you've got your attention drawn to. Number one, it's out of focus, and number two, it's balanced by the other black elements within the frame. But as the camera pulls past it and we start losing all of the framing, you can see that just as we lose the frame, we just start getting past the frame, you'll notice that the focus actually pulls. And then, we're into the black at the background, and you go, oh, okay, so we're outside the car now looking down into the blackness. Horizontal line, fire, we've got more fire. Framing, again, we're going frame inside a frame, definitely focused our attention, frame inside a frame, back here. This time it's blackness though. Rather than looking into a light, we're looking into darkness, which I thought was really, really clever. I really liked the way that happened, to then come up and reveal what's interesting back there. For 2 frames, how many frames does it go for? It's like 1, 2, 3, 10 frames, you get the flash, the light, and the dimness. But what's really cool, it's one thing which is also, if you're thinking about a real world terminology and the way the real world works, let's just have a look at these here. These are the interior tunnel lights. As these things come on, look, the interior tunnel lights start lighting up back in here. Do you think these lights would have reflectors on them to catch the light from the car as they go through? Or would the tunnel lights actually be on an internal circuit that would light up? Interesting. But the car lights, definitely love them, and they start lighting things up, which is really nice. And yes, why the tunnel lights light up, that one's got me. But it does break that darkness and it draws your attention to it, which is nice because these guys don't really do much to it. It's just like, it's interesting. What's going on? Now, I love these two shots in sequence as well because we've just come from a heavy focused heavy right focused shot. If we look at it, definitely down on the bottom, it below the center line over here, but that's the circle. It's a circle tunnel, which is great. And as we cut, we've still got that same shape balanced just on the opposite side of where it was. So if we're looking at the center line of where we were, we're looking at the center line, we've gone from the tunnel being over here to that archway now being over here, and everything's being really big and no straight angles. My goodness, this is such a real cool action shot. No straight angles on this. I love it. And it's just, but yeah, flashes of light. I'm like, okay, cool. Really looks cool. Goes to darkness. And this one, I think is really cool. It's not, again, not flat. We've actually tilted the camera. It's following it with the car, so it's locked to the back of the car going through. We can now see that all these lights are already turned on. But, that's just really cool that they've tilted the camera going, oh, this is nice. Boom, 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 going to the light. We're inside the car with the, I really dig this. Again, going back to the producers and the way they produce it. Look at that. You've actually drawn in speed lines. I really dig drawn in speed lines like that, especially in 3D. I love it. I think it's really kind of geeky for me to geek out on stuff like that. But 2D speed lines on a movie, I can't wait to see what they do with this as well. That's nice. Again, all these dash lines are all not flat, not horizontal. They're all leading you across. And look how big a shape this yellow jacket is. It takes up the whole half a page. Or half a page, takes up a full half the screen, which is fabulous. You don't get that much attention to such big objects very often. So I really love that, and that really drew my attention. I'm like, yes, cool, boom, boom. And contrasting shot about action. Not much of a response to this. But if you're looking about the way they framed it, again, frame inside a frame, we've still actually get to see that frame. We get to see the big contrasting colors about the blue sky and the darker color of the character here. And you can clearly see his silhouette, that he's breaking all these flat square lines. And, it's an interesting gag to see the fly just fly into him. And this thing. You get to this shot finally, and we've hit this center. Now, again, they've gone with these real interesting lines. They've given this thing real heaps of character by just tilting his head. I really like that. We're offset with the with the shoulders. We've looked at the shoulders here. Did I get rid of everything? Yeah. We've offset the shoulders and the head. We've got some cool angles where you're used to robots not having cool angles to them. But I really like the characterization of this particular character. Blackness or darkness, light in the background, and then this real hot spot just below dead center of what's coming to get him. And it races in. And I mean, if the car was actually coming at him that high, I think the car's floating, but it looks awesome. Definitely follow the link and check out the rest of the Mitchells vs. the Machines. I think it's going to be great when it's released later this month on Netflix, but check it out. Well, thanks for sticking with me as I've broken this down. This is one I'm really excited to see, so I can't wait for when it comes out later in the month. Definitely check out Netflix. They do have some pretty quirky sort of stuff, but until the next time, I'll say bye-bye.